He has armies at his command, but she is a woman with secrets he can't break. This is a Dusk Howl original. The general walked cautiously through the streets of the lower district. The last time he had seen his soldier, he was a mess, with what looked like every bone on his left side shattered. He was grateful to his soldier's quick thinking and brave heart for helping to keep Alaric safe on the recent raid north. The home was exactly as he'd expected. Run down, decrepit. Soldiers risking life and limb deserved better, he knew. He walked into the candlelit room, seeing Theo's resting form on the bed in the corner. What horrible timing, Alaric thought, and turned to leave. "Aye, my lord, came to see the likes of me, did ya?" Alaric turned to see Theo sitting up, looking healthy and alert. "Theo, was it not 2 weeks ago that you nearly died?" Theo replied with a grin. "Aye, sir." Alaric was skeptical. "How, pray tell, are you not in bindings?" The soldier grinned back even larger. "It was the lady, sir. You just missed her. She came and fixed me right up. Filled my belly too. She's a looker, I tell ya." A healer, Alaric thought, but this soldier's injuries would have taken months to heal. There was something more at play, and Alaric wanted answers. "She just left? Do you know where she went to?" "Me lord, she didn't do anything against the law. She merely brought me some stew and salt me bandages." Theo seemed to plead. Protecting this girl? Alaric's suspicion grew. Was a woman using power to help his soldier heal? Using magic was strictly forbidden outside of the king and his army, but there was no other explanation. "Theo, the girl, which way did she go?" Alaric said again, more firmly, not used to asking for anything twice. He knew he scared even his own men. Theo looked down as if reluctant to give up the information. "She works down the street at Mrs. Etna's kitchen, sir. Just past the market, you'll see it on the corner, my lord." Without another word, Alaric took off down the street, determined to find this. What was she? A cook? A healer? A criminal using illegal magic? Soon he saw the sign, and in front, tightly packed lines seemed to wait for their turn. Were their meals this good? People from the lower district didn't have access to excess spices and meat the way that they did at the palace, and yet the smell wafting out belied a rich, hearty, and delicious meal. There was no way through but to stand patiently in the crowd and wait his turn. He was hungry, though, and a soldier at heart. Food is food, and he has eaten far worse in far worse settings. "Mrs. Bruna, don't forget to take home extras for the mister. How's he doing?" A soft, feminine voice came from inside. Alaric was finally able to see better inside, and a young lady, maybe mid-20s, was serving up meals alongside a matronly woman. He watched as he progressed through the line, as the woman placed food in awaiting hands, with what looked like no money exchanged. They teased the men, asked the women how they were faring, and looked to be enjoying themselves. Finally, it was Alaric's turn. He loomed over the young lady, and as she went to serve him, she finally looked up, surveying him through the process. "That'll be a guinea, sir," she quirked a smile and withheld the food. Alaric was in shock. He hadn't seen a single coin exchange, and yet she was asking him? "Do you think that in that fancy armor we wouldn't know you're a commander in the king's army and thus can afford to pay for your own food?" She ended her statement with sarcasm. "My lord?" The confidence on the woman struck Alaric. How dare she talk to him in that way? Even if he was just a commander, everyone was respectful and typically fearful of any high-ranking army official. He did not want to cause a scene, though, and begrudgingly passed over the coin. The food was exchanged, and the line seemed to usher him gently out of the way as the hunger overtook their concern for possibly mistreating an army commander. Alaric leaned against a nearby building. He would wait until there were less folk. Then he would interrogate the cocky woman about Theo. For now, he would eat and observe. He intuitively took the first bite, and the moment it reached his palate, he let out an audible moan. He finished his bowl in minutes and started planning a way to get seconds. How could food from the lower district taste better than his meals at the palace? All of a sudden, warmth took over him. He had already finished eating. Had the woman poisoned him? Not possible. She fed everyone from the same large pot. Seconds later, his aching knees felt lighter, better. His wrist, that had been sore from sword practice, was no longer throbbing. This was it. This is how Theo was restored. A meal? Alaric couldn't believe it. Just one serving of this woman's food had healed him. She was clearly using some sort of magic, he thought, and as the crowd dissipated, he marched back towards the kitchen, ready to berate the woman with questions. She spotted him coming. "We are closed, sir. Have a fine day," she yelled to him from across the street with a strange, regal air that had him pausing for a beat. He kept moving, though, one large step after another, until finally he stood at the entrance, and she continued cleaning as if not noticing him at all. "Woman," he said with impatience, "what is in your food?" She didn't make eye contact, but continued her chores. "A little this and a little that," she snarkily replied. Alaric's anger rose. "I must speak with you." She finally stopped her work and looked directly at Alaric. "And what must a great commander speak with a cook about? You want to know my secret recipes?" "I think not, sir." Her piercing glare drove into Alaric, but all he could notice was just how stunning the woman was when all of her attention was on him. Then abruptly, she closed the window to the shop right in front of his face. Alaric stepped back in shock. This woman, the audacity, the beauty, the gall. He was not giving up that easily. He didn't even know her name. He marched up to the connecting house, assuming it was where she resided, and knocked, with maybe too much force, on the front door. It was open, and Alaric looked down, expecting to see the young lady, but instead, another older woman was waiting inside. "Ah, Commander, I figured you would have questions. Come in, my lord." Alaric didn't know what to say and merely followed her inside, crouching to avoid hitting doorways. Finally, she sat him at the small, well-used table and patted the table right where an empty seat seemed ready for him. "My name is Etta, but you can call me Mrs. Etta. Might I get you a cup of tea?" Alaric sat, shaking his head. "What's in the food, Mrs. Etta? I must know. My soldier, my ankles, my knees, how?" There was no remnants of magic I could detect, but it was clear you're not just serving up normal food. Alaric cut straight to the point. He could tell these women were cut from a different cloth and didn't want to dally. "What is your name, dear boy?" Alaric seemed visibly caught off guard by the simple question. "Al," he replied simply. "Ah, Al, you see, our food is meant to nourish your body and soul, and we have worked hard to perfect nutritious recipes," Mrs. Etta explained, with a slight smile across her face. Alaric was not buying it. He arched his eyebrow. He was done with these ladies and their games. Just then, the side door opened, and the young woman stepped in, not seeing him at first, and then shooting him a frustrated and irate look. "Leora, my dear, come sit. This gentleman would like to know what's in today's meal." Mrs. Etta clued Leora in on why this strange, large male was in her home. She did not sit. Leora stood next to Mrs. Etta, as if in front of her, protecting her. "Today's meal was a meat stew, your lordship. Meats procured from the men protecting this community, vegetables grown by the women serving this community, and brought together with just a touch of spices my mother and I have procured. I think that answer is sufficient for your prying mind. Now please vacate yourself from our home." Leora was feisty. He would give her that, but also infuriating. He was used to working hard in a war zone, but Alaric had never had to navigate this type of battlefield. As he contemplated his next moves, Leora's small, work-torn hands were placed on his forearm, and with the authority of a mother maneuvering her son, she ushered him to the front door of the house within what felt like the blink of an eye. As she went to shut the door, Alaric snapped out of his dumbstruck stupor just in time. Desperation made him reckless, a failing he rarely allowed himself. He couldn't let her get away. He grabbed Leora by the arm and positioned her against the wall. He trapped her in. Large forearms were all she could see out of her peripherals. Her breath hitched, with nothing to do but stare into his dark eyes. "I don't know what you did to your food, but it healed me. It healed my soldier in record time. My mother, she needs you." Alaric, not used to pleading, sighed heavily. "Please, Leora, help her." Leora couldn't think. Not with this man, this close. She knew she was in trouble, but she couldn't give up just yet. Never having asked for anything in return for her assistance, she finally replied, "What's in it for me?"